name's Fiona Parsons. I work at the University of Wolverhampton, which, as many of you probably know, is a medium-sized post-92 university located in the Midlands of England. I will say Bore da and welcome, because I was actually brought up just down the road in Monster, Chepstow. So I can remember this place when it was still a maternity hospital. Not the whole thing, obviously, but the manor house, as it's now known, that was the maternity hospital. And for my parents' generation, most of them either gave birth or knew someone who'd given birth in the hospital. So this is it's fascinating to be here in what is now establishing itself, I think, as one of Wales's premier conference centres. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about conferences. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the value of change that we're seeking to drive through our Digital Campus Transformation Programme. I'm not going to talk a lot about technology, so if you're interested in the technologies we've been using, then have a chat to the suppliers. They're all here, I think, all here in the exhibition. What I'm going to talk about is the approach we've taken and the change management and transformation to the business that we are seeing emerging from what we're doing. The one project I will pause a little bit and talk about a little bit more detail is RVM, and I'll explain why. And really, the exercise today is really to talk a little bit about lessons learned, what we found out from what we're doing. And hopefully there'll be a little bit of time for questions at the end. So just a little bit about the university. Our foundation's very much in the West Midlands, ex-Polytechnic, involved in skills development, skills for the economy, just over 20,000 students. We have had in the past a strong reputation for technology-enhanced learning. Wolverhampton was one of the first universities to introduce a virtual learning environment, a bit more about that in the future, and actually was instrumental in developing computer-aided technology-supported learning decades ago. And we developed something called the WITCH machine, which stands for Wolverhampton Interactive Teaching Computer something, which is actually in our lecture department in the Computing Museum. So there was a period of time around the 1990s where Wolverhampton was sort of synonymous for investment in technology-enhanced learning, pushing the boundaries around support for learning through technology. And really we'd lost some of the ground that we'd established in those early days. So the Digital Campus Programme, I know many of us are launching digital strategies, and there's a parallel session to talk about digital strategy this afternoon. A number of us are looking at digital transformation programmes, so I recognise we're not alone. And in terms of what we are seeking to do at Wolverhampton, it's really about putting pedagogy at the heart of our transformation programme. Do come in. There are a couple of seats, so please do come in. And really about putting student experience first. So we launched our Digital Campus Transformation Programme in 2015. Really, we were looking to address some of our legacy issues, the history of underinvestment in IT, as well as I said, reclaiming some of the ground that we'd lost. So developing our reputation, reclaiming effectively our reputation for being leaders in learning and teaching, and specifically technology-enhanced learning and teaching. The digital campus, very much conceptual thing. When we first started talking about it, I think most people really struggled to kind of grasp what we're talking about. So we started to develop the analogy, obviously, of the physical campus and the importance of developing foundations and investing in new capabilities built on the investment in foundations. You can read all of that for yourselves. That was very much the principles that we established at the outset. And one of the other things I will say about this programme was that before we actually launched the programme, there was an awful lot of discussion, debate, raising things through university committees. I had to go and have a chat with the governors, I had to go do a bit of a pitch to the governors about investment in this technology thing, most of whom are of most of our governors are of a certain age. Many of them are retired. So we're really deeply sceptical about why we should be investing in the technology piece. We talked about our roots, we talked about our investment in learning and teaching, what kind of university we are, always have been, and wish to continue to be. And critically, we talked about the student experience. So, as I say, we established a number of core principles for the programme, and when we launched the programme, we were extremely explicit about, this might look like a technology programme, and what's visible will be investment in IT systems and services, so there will be some sort of tangible things that people can hook onto. But actually what we're seeking to deliver are those deeper, harder to reach changes. And boy, have we lifted the carpet on some of those changes and some of those issues, and I'll talk about that a little bit as well. None of this is easy. You all know that none of this is easy, and there are a lot of rocks in the road along the way. And I think over the last few days we've heard an awful lot about the importance of IT aligning with the business, and how about that is not just about rhetoric. It's about really getting under the skin of what we're trying to do and to be as an organisation. So the foundation phase for the digital campus programme are these projects. So the whole programme is a 5-year programme, and £30 million investment across 5 years. You can see why the government's quizzed me so hard. These were and are the 5 foundation projects. And I will talk very briefly about each of them, but what I want to get onto is what we learned going through this exercise. As I say, if you're interested in the detail of some of these, there are others who can talk about this in a bit more detail. So, first of all, our digital platforms project, and actually project managers sitting in the room here today, so I can talk in a lot more detail about this project. We had a legacy of underinvestment in our core infrastructure. So it was a bit of a mess. It was inefficient processes, inefficient equipment, almost impossible to scale, highly unresponsive, etc., etc. And we're a multi-campus university with one spur right up in Burn, which is our nurse education site. So complex environment, and what we did was we procured a new storage solution, and we partnered with Logicalis, developed a hybrid cloud solution. This was very much one of the foundation pieces of the digital campus, one of those invisible projects that are invisible to the rest of the university. I was very interested in hearing the conversations that went on about bringing people along, and one of the themes throughout all of the projects is that as far as the IT department in Wolverhampton were concerned, right from the get-go, staff were willing to get to grips with new technologies, new ways of working project teams that embraced staff from across the university. And whilst there was some initial nervousness, isn't there always, I can honestly say that everybody rose to the challenge and got really quite excited about the opportunities that were good to them to exploit new technologies and do something new, interesting and different. So the next project that we launched was our Applications Anywhere project. Now this was a response to two things. One was that we had a bunch of broken processes, horrendously labyrinthine processes to put together our applications portfolio and distribute it. It took the entire academic year, teams of staff to do it. The other thing this was responding to was student experience. So our Vice President Academic of the Student Union, when she came into post, collared me on kind of day one and said, we don't get access to our software applications where we need to. And we can't have those buildings open, you know, estates won't open them. Estates will give them the blame for this. We can't get them in the library, learning centres. We can't get them here, there and everywhere. Can you please do something about this? So that's why this also became, those twin drivers, this also became one of the foundation pieces for the programme. And we partnered with Software 2, who tell us we have virtualised more applications than anyone else in higher education in the UK. I'm quite happy to believe them. So that has had probably one of the single most profound and swift impact on the student experience. So the evidence is in things like the NSS free text comments, students saying it's great, we can get access to stuff. So that was the second foundation project. The third was in response to this. So we've implemented Tableau as our reporting tool because we had a highly siloed approach to business reporting. A couple of you are smiling, so I suspect we were not the only ones in that particular camp. And we have begun the journey of getting people to think about the importance of decision support, the value of bringing together teams from across the university to support implementation of new reporting and so on. Now this is one of the projects where we really did start to lift the rug on the issues of cross-university business processes. With the two earlier projects that I mentioned, they were all very much within our control. So I'm as Director of Academic Support, within my portfolio includes IT, library, and our College of Learning and Teaching. So support for academic practice in a very broad sense. With this project, we needed to partner with registry, with the planning team, and to deliver solutions that worked for all of us. And that was challenging because things weren't within our direct control. We've implemented Tableau, that's the straightforward bit. The difficult bit, and we implemented a data warehouse, walled garden approach, and the discussions are continuing about data ownership, data management, all those other lovely things that you can anticipate. As an indirect consequence of this project, the university appointed a new head of strategic planning who has the responsibility for taking a long, hard look at some of this stuff. She's been with us a couple of weeks and I wish her luck. The fourth project is our student portal project. This was, again, a relatively straightforward project to implement. That's what the pre-2005 scenario landscape looked like. You know, lots of individual things that students had to log in to get to. And where we are now is our My WRV portal, work in progress, but those initial back-end systems now feeding into the portal, and students love it. It's entirely mobile, and many of you have got student portals. You all know that for a relatively modest investment, the impact on the student experience of the benefits of this is that it gives the university confidence in our ability to deliver student-centred solutions. And I think that's, if you're looking to put together a portfolio of projects, that's critical in terms of managing stakeholders and in managing the benefits that are not just real but perceived. It's about getting the biggest bang for your bucks, but and ensuring that the student experience for us, the student experience remains front and centre of what we're doing. I said I'd talk in a little bit more detail about our virtual learning environment project, because this project has probably been a project that's tackled those deep process, culture, people issues more than any other. And we're right in the middle of it, we haven't completed it. I also referenced the fact that the university was a leader in the 1990s in technology enhanced learning. We developed our own VLE, and until, as I stand here now, we still have our own homegrown virtual learning environment run at the university. It's called WOLF, which stands for Wolverhampton Online Framework, which I didn't find out until about halfway through the project. I kept saying, what does WOLF stand for? Anyway, we found it in some old committee papers. It stands for Wolverhampton Online Framework, and I cannot stress too highly the degree of passion that surrounds WOLF in the University of Wolverhampton. It's an emotional experience for people. We developed it. Our own folks continue to kind of nurture and nurse it through. It is beloved by our academic colleagues. They really did not want us to change from our own homegrown VLE. And it was Alison, wasn't it, who was talking about the kind of spurious but apparently logical arguments you get from highly intelligent scientists. You get and academics everywhere, we all know that. The things that they throw at you, which sound utterly logical, but actually what they're talking about is a purely emotional response. Please don't take this away from us. We love it. We've been using it for years. I don't care that all those other projects are out there are more efficient, easier to maintain, and will give the students a better experience. I just want to stick with one. So we had all of that to deal with. And the lead-in, I think, to implementing a new virtual learning environment, I would say, was probably about 3 years. 3 years of constantly talking to academic colleagues about what they wanted to do, what they needed to do, where the pedagogy was going, and just continuously asking them questions about how do they want to teach what they're teaching. Wolf had to deal with that, nightmare, absolute nightmare. Tiny team, tiny in-house team, totally in-house team, no one else had this software. So 2.5 really brilliant, clever people who I have to say have been totally amazing because they've made that step change and transition. But it was, as I said, it was the depth of integration with the rest of the university that was really, really challenging. And we're still discovering, as we go through the implementations, we're still discovering quite how far the roots of this thing have penetrated in the organisation. In the learning and teaching community, and I talked about our College of Learning and Teaching, which is headed up by our Dean of Learning and Teaching, who's really been the champion for our VLE project. In that learning and teaching community, that we are the envy of others because of the extent of penetration into the academic life. There is no course running in the university which does not have a substantive part of its content on the VLE. It is not an alternative platform for learning and teaching. It's fully embedded in the life of the organisation, and, by the way, has been used for all sorts of things that have got nothing to do with learning and teaching. So we've got a quality management site, we've got it's just generally as a kind of all-comers content management system. The library service had exploited it. So all of that needs to be unpicked and kind of weed killer poured on all of those roots as we go through the project. And we set ourselves a punishing timeline, absolutely punishing, given all of that, because we wanted to really give our academic community the least pain in making the transition. We've partnered with Canvas, as you can see from there, to deliver our new VLE platform. So far, so good. We're through the early adopter phase, and the academic staff like it. One of the questions that people kept asking us, which it took us a bit of time to twig, this is one of these spurious factual questions, was, and what training are you going to do for the students? Because we're all fine, of course, but what training are you going to do for the students? Because they will, how will they cope? And of course, our initial reaction was, fine. And then we realised that although students actually don't need training, we actually did put in place an online training programme, and we employed student ambassadors so that we can say to our academic colleagues, don't worry, this is the package of training we put in place for our students. Don't worry, we've got it covered. So some of these things have got nothing to do with logical reality, everything to do with emotion. I just thought I'd include that. In the middle of our rollout of our early adopters, one of the key project team members had a baby. And this is his daughter, wearing her Canvas merchandise. But there's a metaphor here. Wolf was the university's baby, and it was treated as if this child was. Think of all the metaphors about destroying one's offspring and all the rest of it. So there's a metaphor here as well as a cute picture. What our College of Learning and Teaching have been doing is running not training sessions. They're about learning and teaching. So they're taking course by course. Every academic member of staff, course by course, is having what we call Canvas awareness sessions. And what they're talking about is how they teach, how the students learn, how we transition the pedagogy, how we introduce flip, what's inclusive learning. Inclusivity is one of our key topics. How do you develop inclusive learning? And by the way, here's some stuff that can support you in doing that. Look how easy it is. So the focus is all about the learning and teaching, and is led by the College of Learning and Teaching, not by our IT department. In the background, of course, our IT department are working like dogs to try and sort out all the integrations. And we also have projects, strategies around service. We're looking to re-engineer the deployment of our IT service as well. So we're trying to get an awful lot done in a short space of time. So onto that's all the things that we are doing or have been doing. So onto some of the things that I think we've learned in the last 5 minutes. I mentioned the importance of talking to academics. It's kind of a no-brainer, why wouldn't you? But we set up an academic reference group at the outset, including a number of trade union reps, because we had threats from all sorts of waters about resisting all of this. Our students were key. I mentioned the VP academic that helped sort of set us on this journey. When she graduated, we hired her. So she is now part of the program management office, the embryonic program management office that we put together. Senior academics, our Vice-Chancellor was behind this from the start. I think that is critical, that you get those senior stakeholders bought in. And that's a lot of conversations, that's a lot of cups of coffee and a kind of dropping things in and shamelessly using the students who've got a direct line to our VC, shamelessly using the students to have those discussions. Commitment and capability of team members, well, that goes without saying. What I would say was that we did not have the capacity to deliver this programme. So we brought in, on a contract basis, a lot of very experienced people to develop the capability. As I mentioned, Jerry's here in the room today, who was one of those very people that we brought in to manage one of our key projects. We were fortunate in that the procurement department had a new head of procurement who was willing to work with us. But procurement, legal, everyone needs to work together. And our communication and engagement plan, I think we were surprised, even though we knew we had to put a lot of resource into it, I think we were surprised quite how much resource that communication and engagement sucks in. And my view is that you can't under-invest in the engagement piece. The other thing that I would say is a strong lesson is keeping the eye on the big picture, on that learning landscape, and where what you're doing fits into that broader learning landscape. It's very, very easy to kind of spin down into the detail of delivering this technology by that date. And what also happens is that once a project is launched, everyone assumes that it's kind of, you're there and you can move on to the next thing. So constantly communicating back, this is where we are, this is what we've delivered, is critical. Policy and academic regulations. There is an issue about organisational readiness and agility. And the ability in a kind of highly bureaucratic structure such as universities are, where most decisions are driven through committees, the ability to actually have your regulatory and policy framework keep pace with the changes that we're making. We haven't solved that one. That's a real ongoing issue. And if anybody in this room thinks they've cracked that, I'd be really interested to learn what techniques you're using. Governance. We tried a classic project program type governance. It's not enough. All my senior team discussions are focused on this program. All of our committees get an update on it. I'm going to skip past the where next thing, and I've talked about most of that. Have I just got time? No. There's 1 minute left. So thank you for listening. And I'm really pleased to hear maybe not just questions, but kind of reactions really to what you've just heard. Any Me Too kind of responses? Any thoughts at all? We've got like a half a minute, I guess, for all of that. Hi.
So, going to the BLE, so you're in mid-journey, aren't you? So
very much so,
soon,
yeah.
And interestingly, we're launching in September on campus as well, so we're on a very similar journey. But I'm just interested from your point of view is, a year or two from now, what are you expecting the benefits and learning outcomes to be from this?
Well, in terms of learning outcomes, as I said, this is very much about transformation. So what we're looking to do is to embed principles of inclusivity in our learning practice, drive the agenda away from big lecture theatres down more of a flipped approach, but in a kind of softer way. We also, what I haven't mentioned is we have a number of partners. So we work with a number of academies. So we have 17 academies that the university sponsors, plus a number of overseas. So it's about equity of experience. Wherever the Wolverhampton student is, they will have an equity of experience. So those are the things we're expected to see come out. And I think growing confidence, because one of the things that we're going to be doing in our next phase of the Digital Campus programme is looking at the digital capabilities piece. For both our students and our staff, a number of our students are mature, many of them are first-time higher education entrants. They haven't got the cultural capital of middle-class families, the kind of schools that they went to, etc., etc. So we're going to be putting a lot of our energy into working with partnering with students to develop their digital capabilities, but also our staff. You know, we have an ageing workforce.
Digital literacy, basically.
Yeah, digital capabilities, digital literacies. You know, pick your DISC term, and they're calling it capabilities currently, which I'm quite pleased about actually.